Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain, and today I'm going to be talking about and showing you how to play Reign Absolute. So I want to start by giving a big thank you to the publishers and designers of Reign Absolute. And I do want to say, though, this game is not actually published yet. It is not out. But I met the designers slash publishers for Reign Absolute over at Gen Con, and they had some preview versions of the game there that they were showing off. They said they're going to probably be kickstarting it, but it's plans to be coming out at some point in the not too distant future. I am going to put links in the description down below so you can check out their website where they have a mailing list you can sign up for, as well as their social media for when news comes out about where and how this will be released, so you can keep up on it. But this is going to be a full review and tutorial because the changes from this point on to the actual game are going to be pretty minor. The box here is going to be smaller. The insert is going to be different, but the cards themselves, really all that's changing is some of the artwork. So this will be able to be a full review and tutorial for the game. Now the game comes with two size cards. You have these smaller size cards, which are nice linen finish cards that are both used for extra abilities that you give to your units, as well as the same size is also used for the units themselves. For instance, here you have a skeleton from the undead army. The artwork is gorgeous on these. I love the linen finish cards. I do recommend, because you're going to be moving them around on the table a lot, I recommend playing on a tablecloth to make it easier to pick them up so you're not clawing them off a fairly hard surface. But as you can see here, the artwork is absolutely beautiful and the quality of the cards is pretty good. Now the second size of cards we have are these larger cards. There are cards for the different factions, which both give you strategy tips for how to play their faction and strategy tips for your opponent. These are awesome. I absolutely adore these. I love that they give you an idea of how the race plays and how to play well against the race, because there's a lot going on here, and a lot of these races take a couple times to play them to be able to get them right. So it's really great to get a leg up on that, to be able to really figure out from these cards, and I hope they keep them in the final edition. They did say they're changing very little, because these are some of the best, absolute best cheat sheet type cards I have ever seen. I love that they give strategy tips for you and your opponent. There's also some cards here of the smaller size for just terrain. These are used for if there are spaces between you and your opponent, because you're playing kind of on an imaginary board that is the entire size of the playing space that you are playing on, the entire size of the table. Sometimes when gaps happen, you need these to fill in the gaps. Now the base set is going to come with 4 different races or factions, if you will. This first expansion, the Hidden Realms expansion, I believe will eventually be coming with 4 different factions, though right now in the preview version it comes with 3. So I've got 7 of the factions that I've been able to be checking out, which is really cool. I have played all 7 of them at this point, and they are all very different. The rule book is kind of a fold-out pamphlet-style rule book. The rules are very quick to get and understand. The complexity all comes in the different factions, their asymmetrical powers, and the different ways they play. All right, so without any further ado, we're going to head over to the table. I'm going to run you through how to play a game with some of the more basic factions. And then we're going to come back. I'm going to talk about some of the different ways the factions play and how different they really get from each other. And I'm going to talk about how this game feels, and I'm going to rate it and review it. Okay, so here we are set up to play a 2-player game of Reign Absolute. So to set up the game, each of you have to choose your factions. You take your faction strategy card, which gives you lots of tips on how to play the faction, as well as tips for your opponent for playing against them. These are fantastic. I absolutely love these. You also take this nice quick reference cheat sheet for general rules on the game and how the cards work. And you take your deck, follow any faction-specific setup rules, and shuffle up your deck, and you're basically ready to go. You also have to shuffle up the reinforcement deck and place it out next to the play area. Now this card here, this is a blank space card. They are two-sided, but we're just using it to mark where the center area of the board is. You don't actually have to put this out. It's just that our first card that one of us plays will be played there. Now to start off, to see who goes first, you each draw a card from the reinforcement deck and see who gets the higher number in the bottom corner of the card. I got a 4.
I got a 6.
All right, so we discard these cards, and then it is going to be Lynn's go first. So Lynn is going to draw the top card from her deck. She's going to see what it is, and she has to place it in the center of the table there. Now, that has been random. Her deck is all shuffled up, and as you can see from the back of the card there, Lynn is playing the Human Raiders, which are basically like Vikings. Now, I am playing the Orcs. I'm going to look at mine, and regardless of who it is, I have to place it somewhere adjacent to Lynn's card. Now, we may move some of these other cards out of the way as this formation grows. Lynn's now cards must be played adjacent to her own cards that are already on the table, and the same with me. So I'm going to have a look at what I've got, and I'm going to place right there. We both are actually playing factions that like to have a lot of frontage and like to be able to attack each other a lot. So this is actually going to be a fairly brutal sort of game, because we both like to get around the flanks of each other. That's getting interesting. I'm gonna block you there. Might want to look at it. Just a thought. I'm gonna try. You know, I'm gonna try to get all the way around your flank there. Oh, you're stopping me. I'll try again around this one. Decisions. All right, so you're not letting me get around. So my last card, you know what? I'm going to place out here to back up the middle. And then I have, because Lynn had started placing first, I have one extra card. It is the Warlord card. The Orcs play a little differently, where your opponent will always know which of your cards is the sovereign of your faction. In this case, it is the Orc Warlord. Now, you place the Warlord title card on the bottom of the shuffled deck, and it's the last card that is played. You place it on one of your units, promoting them to being the Orc Warlord, which gives them +1 strength on the attack, -2 strength on the defense. Now, Lynn went first, so I actually don't want to place this on a guy who's right up against her, because she's going to have an advantage on attacking him. So I'm going to place it on, I think, let me see. Yeah, I'm going to place it on this guy here. Now, when a warlord or sovereign of a faction is usually killed, that's the end of the game. They're like the king in chess or the flag in Stratego, which is a much better comparison. But when the current warlord of the Orcs is defeated, I get to immediately move this warlord title to on top of any other Orc unit, promoting them to the new warlord. Because of this, the Orcs can only be defeated if you literally annihilate their entire force, which is why they're one of the more aggressive factions. That said, the Human Raiders are actually one of the more aggressive factions too, so this is going to be a fairly bloody fight. Now, Lynn, you started placing first, so you get to go first. Lynn's options for her turn is she can do a move, she can do an attack, or she can do a doom action, which is probably not going to happen early game. We'll explain that when that comes up. A move means she can move to an adjacent space, only orthogonally. Nothing is diagonal in this game. And a attack is the same thing, except you can move to a occupied space, occupied by your enemy, and attack that unit there. Either way, when she's done, she's going to get to draw a card from the reinforcement deck, and if it's a green symboled card, it will take effect immediately. If it's a blue symboled one, it's one she will place hidden underneath one of her units to give them a bonus next time they get into combat. So then what are you going to do?
This one is going to attack there.
Okay, so now we have to reveal who has been placed there. So Lynn has attacked me with a champion who has 7 power. I just have a goblins with a lowly 5 power, which means I will lose this fight. So my goblins get discarded, but now I know what is there. Lynn has a champion there. But the question is, did she pull a blue card, and is that blue card going to be going under the champions?
No, it's a green card.
Oh, what's the effect?
May steal a blue card from an enemy unit.
So that one is a waste because I don't have any blue cards yet. I am going to attack this unit here with this unit. This is a Orc Warrior, which is 6 power. It is Lynn's War Chief, who has 8 power. Now, the War Chief for the Raiders also has the ability that when they're on the attack, they get +1 attack. So when attacking, they're at 9 power. But lucky me, I at least found out where they were. Unlucky me, I'm down 2 units. So actually, I'm not doing so great. Then I get to draw a reinforcement card. And I'm going to place it over here under my Warlord.
This one is going to attack there.
Okay, so you attacked with a 7. I had power 6, another Orc Warrior, so I again lose. This could be going better for me. Let's put it that way. All right, this guy's going to attack here. I have my Ogre here who is power 9, but he cannot use cards.
6.
Okay, well that did go well for me. And I'm going to place this card under my Warlord.
This guy is going to attack over here.
Okay, I have a power 6 guy.
I have draw 2.
Ah, so Lynn gets to draw 2 more cards.
Not helpful.
That would be only on the defense.
Not helpful.
All right, so those were defensive cards only. If they show that they give plus to a shield, that means only when you're defending. Which means in this case, it's power 6 to power 6. We both die. So Lynn just put a card under her Warlord there. She wasn't able to get him really out of the way, and my Ogre is there. But the question is, did she just play a really powerful defensive card there? So I'm a little worried. So instead I'm going to attack this card who has no cards to defend it with my Ogre and try to start evening the playing field. And I knocked out a Strength 6 Clansman, so that was really good for me. Just to keep this from falling apart here, I'm going to put some land in there to keep everything connected. And then I'm going to draw a card. And I am going to place it under this unit here.
He's going to attack there.
Really? What do you have?
My Berserker.
Oh my. Oh, so he's 9.
Yep.
So you took out my Ogre with your guy who also could match the power of the Ogre. Let's throw another terrain piece over here to make sure we keep all connected and know where the empty spaces are. Oh, he got a card, huh? Interesting. All right, I want to see what's going on over here. I'm going to attack over here. I have a Warg Rider who gets +1 on the attack, so he's 8 to your 5.
Just a rabble.
So I will take this space. I drew a card that allows me to swap the places of 2 of my units. I've decided I'm going to swap the places of these 2 units to bring my Warlord into the conflict.
He's going to attack your Warlord.
Okay, what do you have?
Total of 8.
All right, so my Warlord, unfortunately, does not have enough to stand up to that. He had something that gave him extra power on the attack, and he had a tricksy thing to stop my opponent from doing Doom on me. It was really a bluff, so I lose the Warlord, but it's not that big a deal to me because I do just get to make someone else my Warlord, and I'm going to do that now by placing a card on top of this guy here. Okay, my turn?
Yep.
All right, my Warlord is going to attack you there.
Okay. Yep.
And it is my Shaman. Now, your guy had an attack card, which isn't going to take effect because I attacked you. So I have 6. I had a defense card, which is going to take effect because I attacked you. I have 7, but then I also have a draw 1 card, which this is going to be what really decides this fight because we're currently tied for power here. Oh, no, it was not helpful. We kill each other. So actually, yeah, this is not working out all that great for me. I lost another guy. So I'm going to make, let's see. I'm going to make this guy here my new Warlord. And I have drawn the card that lets me look at one of my opponent's guys and all his cards. is I'm going to look at Lynn's War Chief. I know where they are, and they have that +4 to defense. That is really tough. They're going to be tough to take out unless I get a card that gets to counteract my opponent's cards. That is going to be it for my turn.
I am going to call a Doom, do a Doom action. Doom, Doom, Doom.
Yes, Doom. The Doom action is a very powerful one when you outnumber your opponent close to the end of the game like we are right now. Lynn has 3 units to my 1. Now, when you do a Doom action, your opponent must immediately sacrifice one of their units. In this case, I have 2 units and they're nowhere near my opponent. This is going to really stink for me. So I have to lose the guy who's not my Warlord, and then Lynn has to lose one of her guys, after which Lynn skips the draw phase and doesn't get to draw something. But this is really game over because all I can do on my turn is move 1 space closer, followed by drawing a card, which isn't going to really help me, unless it was the counteracted Doom card, which it wasn't. And then Lynn, of course, can call another Doom action, and that will be game, and she will have won the game of Reign Absolute. So go ahead, Lynn.
I'm doing another Doom.
And that is game because I lose my last guy. And that is how you play a game of Reign Absolute. It plays like a very fast, smaller battlefield version of Stratego with asymmetrical player powers and cards that can give you all sorts of bluffing mechanisms for crazy abilities that you can build up in between turns and attacks. So now we're going to head back over. I'm going to talk about how this game plays and how it feels, and I'm going to rate it and review it. Okay, welcome back. So that was a basic game with 2 of the most straightforward factions in the game. The factions are rated. They do rate them on their complexity. Some factions get a bit more complex and difficult to use, like the Elves, who play very defensively and really don't want to attack their enemy for about the first half to 3/4 of the game, as they slowly build up their defenses quicker than their enemy can build up defenses generally. Or the Ratlings, who play in a very different fashion, where multiple units can occupy the same space. They build up a horde of units. They start out with a bunch of very weak units, but they form into these big hordes to attack for massive damage. Or like the Undead, who very strangely actually play with everything face up. You know exactly where your undead leader is, and you know where all of the graveyards and skeletons are. The graveyards can turn into skeletons as you keep raising undead to fight your opponent. Every one of the factions plays totally differently. The most basic factions are the most similar to each other, the ones we use there, but even they play very differently from each other. But as you go and get more and more advanced with the factions, there are some very, very different playing units and very, very different playing factions. And the way this takes the play style of a game like Stratego and distills it down to its pure essence, and just really just gets right to what makes Stratego great and makes it in a much quicker package, is pretty freaking awesome. This is a game that plays really like 15-20 minutes. I didn't go over what they said for the player counts and everything. It says 2 to 4 players, so let's do this now. 2 to 4 players. This is really a 2-player game, though you can play at larger player counts. There is player elimination, so I'm a little dubious on that, but it is possible. 15 plus minutes. I love this range because I've gotten games that get right down to that 15 minutes, but there are times when, if both people are playing defensively, it can go a little longer. And then the ages 13 and up, yeah, I think that's a good estimate, especially since some of the factions are rather advanced and can be a little tougher to understand than others. But the basic factions are actually pretty easy and pretty easy to get into. So I would even go lower if you're just starting out with like the 2 human factions, for instance, the Raiders, the Human Raiders, and the Human Empire are very easy to learn how to play. Even the Orcs are pretty easy to learn how to play. They're a fairly basic faction too. All the other factions though, like the Elves and the Undead and the Rats and the Dwarves, all of them are a bit more advanced. They do take a little more understanding of the concepts of the game to get into, but that makes them, something to graduate onto. And it doesn't mean that they're more powerful necessarily. It just means their rules are a little more complex, and there's a little more finesse to them. In fact, in some cases, like for the Elves, for instance, the Elves can be really good once you understand them. But early on, I would say most people are going to lose the first game they play with the Elves because they're very finessey. You have to really take your time to explore how to play them right. But that's part of the joy of this game. So the bottom line is, when this game comes to Kickstarter or comes to retail, would I recommend the game to you? And the bottom line is yes, absolutely yes. As long as the production stays much the same as it is here, which as I understand it, the changes they're planning to make are very minor. There's going to be a different type of insert, a smaller box, but the cards are really going to basically be the same, except for some changes in artwork. Some of the artwork is being updated slightly, but it's very minor changes. My overall rating of this out of 10 stars is going to be 8. This is a solid, amazingly enjoyable game. I really like the asymmetrical factions a lot. And if you are a fan of games like Thunder and Lightning, Shadows in Kyoto, and of course Stratego, this is a great game to add to your collection. If any of the things I talked about today sound fun to you, I would definitely recommend either backing this Kickstarter or buying it, depending on where in the future you actually get to watch this video. And again, check out the links below. I'm going to link to their channel. You can sign up for their mailing list, as well as their Facebook account, so you can follow them and keep up on when this is actually going to be available to either back or buy. But there you have it, 8 out of 10 stars. I really enjoyed this game. I think this is a lightning fast distillation of what is cool about games like Stratego, in a very easy to learn, but like kind of, easy to learn but long time to explore sort of game. And this is the sort of game that I would definitely like to have as they do more factions and more races. And I looked on their website, there are more races than I have here that they're working on. I would love to have all of them, because the variety is where this game is at. So there you have it. If you enjoyed this review and tutorial and you'd like to see me do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.